Hello and welcome guys, welcome to my ride. Today we're going to check how effective motorcycle gear actually is. To get a correct answer to this question, we have to dig down a little bit into history. In the year of 1914, the first so-called motorcycle helmets were invented by Dr. Eric Gardner for the riders of the famous Isle of Man motorcycle race. Even though the helmet was invented quite early, the requirements for everybody to wear one while riding on public roads was invented around 1979 in Europe. We will now take a look at the lethal accidents in public traffic before and after 1979, so we can see the effectiveness of helmets. In 1977, there were 380,000 accidents with personal injuries in the country Germany. In those 380,000 accidents, 15,000 people lost their lives in, which is a lethality rate of 3.95%. When we compared it to 1981, there were 360,000 car accidents with personal injuries. The lethality rate in this year was 3.22%. So the lethality rate in 4 years where the requirements to wear a helmet were set decreased by 18.2%, which is a pretty significant amount. But there is a little flaw in this calculation. We have to consider that these are the numbers of general traffic accidents and not only broken down to motorcycles. So I had to continue my research. And my research was successful. I found a study that is only talking about the effectiveness of motorcycle protection gear. So let's start with the helmet. Academics found out that 53 observational studies were identified of varying quality about this topic. Despite methodology differences, there was a remarkable consistency in results, particularly for mortality and head injury outcomes. There was some evidence that the effect of helmets on mortality is modified by the speed of your travel. Motorcycle helmets were found to reduce the risk of head injury, and from 5 well-conducted studies, the risk reduction is estimated to be 72%. So the conclusion of the study is that motorcycle helmets reduce the risk of mortality and head injuries of motorcycle riders who crash, although the former effect may be modified by other crash factors such as speed, which is quite obvious. The only downside to the study was that there was insufficient evidence to demonstrate whether differences in helm types confer more or less advantage in injury reduction. So I think this is enough evidence to say that wearing a helmet is essential when you're riding a motorcycle to secure your safety as much as you can. So let's talk about the other safety gear. The academics Schuller, Beier, Spann already found out in 1986 that injured motorcycle riders which have worn a leather suit had on average 7 days shorter lengths of stay in hospital and were able to return to their workspace 20 days earlier than people without wearing a leather suit at the moment of the accident. They also came to the conclusion that injuries to the skin and soft tissues of the extremities would be reduced by 43%. A leather suit would also reduce extensive deep injuries to those parts of the body by 63%. The motorcycle accidents in-depth study found out that most accidents happen between 30 and 60 kilometers an hour. Interesting is that 40% of the injured people kept sliding at the ground without colliding with an obstacle. And exactly that's where the safety gear comes into play. So the conclusion of this all is, ride with full gear whenever it's possible, which means every time. This is really important. And when you're thinking, man, it is so hot out there and I will drown in my own sweat, always remember, you're not dressing for the ride, you are dressing for the slide. So I hope I was able to show you today how important safety gear is on the bike. I hope you have fun riding and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.